Welcome everyone to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because we are breaking down what is easily one of the most highly anticipated battles in the entire automotive world. We are setting our sights on the year 2026, and the battleground, the affordable sub-30,000 euro electric crossover market. Look, for years now, we've all been waiting for EVs to become truly accessible without feeling like we have to make massive compromises, right? Well, two automotive giants have finally delivered their answers, the Kia EV2 and the Renault 4 E-Tech. But as we're going to see, they've taken wildly different approaches to get there.
So let's dive right into it. Rationality or emotion? Which one actually drives your EV choice? This right here is the whole crux of our explainer today. Because choosing between the Kia EV2 and the Renault 4, it's not just about staring at a spec sheet and pointing at the bigger numbers. No, it's a fundamental showdown between two completely different worldviews. On one side, we've got Korean engineering pragmatism, this hyper-rational, calculated approach to city driving. And on the flip side, we have French cultural heritage. It's this emotional, nostalgic charm that literally aims to put a smile on your face before you even unlock the doors. It's rationality versus emotion, head versus heart.
Here's a quick look at our tail of the tape scorecard for today. First, the 2026 EV showdown. Second, space, flagship versus heritage. Third, battery logic, LFP versus NMC. Fourth, tech, V2G and charging. Fifth, the long-range price trap. And we'll wrap it up with our verdict, head or heart.
All right, let's jump right into round one, the 2026 EV showdown.
So Kia's approach with the EV2 is what we like to call progressive design. They've leaned into their opposites united philosophy to build what is essentially a shrunken adult flagship car. With its boxy tiger face, it doesn't look like some cheap entry-level toy, you know? It looks like a mature, fully-fledged SUV that they just zapped with a shrink-wave for the city. Renault, though, they lean entirely into this retro-modern identity. They're drawing directly from their iconic R4 from way back in the 1960s. It's charismatic, it's super playful, and it's meant to spark this instant, sympathetic connection. It's basically a car with a rich history, totally reinvented for the electric age.
Moving right along to round two, space, flagship versus heritage.
Take a look at the dimensional strategy here. Both of these cars are built on dedicated EV platforms, and they share the exact same width, sitting right at 1.80 meters. The Kia is just a tiny bit shorter at 4.06 meters, compared to the Renault's 4.14. But check out the wheelbase. That's the distance between the front and rear wheels. The Renault actually boasts a longer 2.62-meter wheelbase, which gives it a theoretical advantage for passenger room over the Kia's 2.57 meters. But hold on, because as we're about to see, Kia uses some absolutely brilliant engineering to maximize that slightly smaller footprint.
Kia fights back with pure, unadulterated modular logic. The EV2 gives you this incredibly smart four-seater setup with independent sliding and reclining rear seats. What does that mean for you? Well, it means you can slide the seats all the way back to get C-SUV levels of legroom for your passengers, or if you need it, slide them forward to expand your boot space from 321 liters up to 403. It's all about tactical flexibility. Oh, and Kia also throws in a 15-liter frunk, a front trunk. Why does that matter? Think about it. If you're out charging in the pouring rain, you can toss those wet, grimy cables right into the frunk, completely away from your clean luggage or groceries in the back. That is just brilliantly pragmatic.
Renault, on the other hand, trades that rear seat modularity for a massive base volume and pure lifestyle appeal. The French EV gives you a static rear bench, sure, but it rewards you with a huge 420-liter base boot capacity, which actually beats the Kia's maximum setup. And leaning heavily into that emotional lifestyle vibe, Renault offers the optional plain-suede canvas roof. It literally opens up the entire cabin to the elements, turning a practical urban commuter into this amazing atmospheric open-air experience. It's definitely less about tactical cargo management and way more about feeling the breeze while you're driving home with fresh baguettes on a sunny afternoon.
All right, let's shift gears to round three, battery logic, LFP versus NMC.
Let's start with the big headline numbers. In their maximum long-range configurations, the Kia EV2 achieves a really impressive 453 kilometers of WLTP range, comfortably beating out the Renault 4's 409 kilometers. So the really cool part is how Kia pulled off this 44-kilometer victory. It's all strategic engineering. While the base EV4 gets a 147 horsepower motor, Kia actually dials back the long-range motor, detuning it down to 134 horsepower. They purposefully sacrificed a little bit of power just to squeeze out the absolute maximum efficiency and range for those high-mileage drivers.
But the real so what of this whole battery battle? It comes down to chemistry. Kia is using a dual strategy.
To keep their base model incredibly cheap, they use a 42.2 kilowatt-hour LFP, that's lithium iron phosphate battery. Then, they switch over to a 61 kilowatt-hour NMC, nickel manganese cobalt pack, for the long-range version. Renault, however, sticks entirely to NMC chemistry for both their 40 and 52 kilowatt-hour packs. And this is absolutely crucial to know if you live in a colder climate. LFP batteries are cheaper, but they traditionally suffer from cold soak performance degradation when freezing winters hit. Renault's NMC-only approach could give you much more resilient, predictable performance during a brutal European winter. So they definitely have a hidden edge in colder regions.
On to round 4, tech, V2G, and charging.
Inside the cabin, the software battle is just fascinating. Kia is doing what we can call pragmatic haptics. They've got this high-end, completely distraction-free triple-screen setup, a 12.3-inch instrument cluster, a 5.3-inch climate screen, and another 12.3-inch central touchscreen. It's clean, it's highly functional, and deeply integrated. Renault takes a totally different path. They use the OpenR Link system with Google built in. Think of this as a software-as-a-service ecosystem sitting right there on your dashboard. It's vibrant, heavily software-driven, and relies a lot on Google Maps and digital avatars. So if you want a car that feels like a precision physical tool, you'll probably prefer the Kia. But if you want your car to feel like an extension of your smartphone, you are going to love the Renault.
And you know, that philosophical difference extends right into how you charge these things. Both cars use a 400-volt architecture, and both will fast charge from 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes. But for your daily AC charging, they completely diverge. Kia offers an optional 22 kilowatt AC charger. If your city has the right infrastructure, that means you can get incredibly fast top-ups just while you step out to grab a coffee. Renault sticks to standard 11 kilowatt AC charging, but they counter with this brilliant bidirectional V2G, or vehicle-to-grid, software through their Mobilize ecosystem. What this means is the Renault 4 can actually sell electricity back to the grid during peak hours, actively helping you pay for that coffee.
Now for round 5, the long-range price trap.
If you are shopping purely on a budget and just want a solid EV for the city, the Kia EV2 is the undisputed champion here. It hits the market with an incredibly aggressive starting price of just 26,600 euros. It completely undercuts the base Renault 4, which starts around 29,500 euros. Kia is giving you a highly mature, intensely pragmatic vehicle for an absolutely unbeatable entry price. But here is the massive plot twist: the price trap. If you are a high-mileage driver and you absolutely need those long-range batteries, the math completely flips on its head. The long-range Renault 4 asks for 32,990 euros. The long-range Kia EV2, though, it suddenly rockets all the way up to 38,350 euros. That is a massive 5,360 euro premium over the Renault. Yes, the Kia does give you 44 more kilometers of range, but with a price gap like that, the charismatic French car suddenly transforms into the most rational, cost-effective highway champion. It is a stunning reversal.
And finally, Section 6, the verdict, head or heart. So, looking at our final scorecard, the Kia EV2 is the ultimate pragmatic urban tool. Its primary value is that unbeatable 26,600 euro entry point, and its really clever sliding seat modular logic. It's honestly an amazing car that forces very few compromises if you stick to the base model. But if you're looking for long-range total cost of ownership, your TCO, and you want that superior digital Google ecosystem, the Renault 4 is actually the better value overall. It offers massive static cargo space and an identity that's frankly hard to put a price tag on. To sum this all up perfectly, I think we should look to the German automotive community because they phrase it brilliantly. They say the Kia EV2 is the Kopfwahl, the head choice. It's the rational, highly calculated decision. The Renault 4 E-Tech, on the other hand, is the Herzenswahl, the heart choice. It's the kind of car that builds a genuine emotional bond with you. Basically, the Kia is the car you buy because it makes total sense. The Renault is the car you buy because you just love it.
And that brings us to the end. Thank you so much for your time and for joining me today to unpack this completely fascinating 2026 EV showdown. It is an incredible time for the automotive industry, and having such wildly distinct choices makes the future of electric driving so incredibly exciting. We couldn't do this without you, so a huge thank you to all our listeners for tuning in.
But before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought, going right back to that base model price gap we talked about earlier. Are we entering an era where you literally have to pay a premium just to have a car with personality? Think about it. The base Renault costs about 3,000 euros more than the base Kia. So is character now considered a luxury feature? It's something to think about. Thanks again for watching, and keep learning.